You know, Mary, we have lots of different varieties of roses here, and depending on the type of roses, we do different things to protect them for the winter.
Okay. How do you treat the tender roses?
So the tender roses, we have to do the Minnesota tip, it's called. And in the fall, we take hedge trimmers and cut them down to 18 inches. And then we take baling twine and tie them up as tight as possible so they're really narrow. And then we'll dig trenches in the dirt, and then we lay the plants down, put dirt over the top of the roses, and then we put bags of leaves on top as well. So they get lots of protection.
How do you manage to get them to lay sideways without tearing up the roots?
So they don't really like to be tipped, but we force them with a potato fork. And we try to keep the roots intact and then just like fold them over into the open trench, put that dirt over, and then cover them with the dirt, and then put the bags of leaves.
How much do you have to loosen those roots, or how do you have to press on them to get them to lay over that much?
Oh, so we do cut them down so that it's a little bit easier to tip them over. And with that potato fork, you're pushing on the roots and you're folding them over. And it takes a little bit of effort. You want it to be forceful enough, but if you hear some cracking noises, you're breaking the canes.
How many people does that take to do?
Oh, it takes quite a few people. So the Minnesota tip is quite labor intensive. We get volunteers for helping with us, and then also because it is a city garden, it's all hands on deck, and we have pretty much all of the park maintenance workers helping us tip the roses in the fall.
When do you do that?
We typically do that early October. We kind of watch the weather. We don't want them to be quite frozen, but it is cold out when we do it.
And how much mulch do you use then to cover them?
So we're using whatever's available on the bed as far as like dirt / mulch. We do other methods of winter protecting with just compost. But we typically don't use a lot of mulch for winter protecting. It's the leaves that are doing the most of the protection.
Where do you get all the leaves?
We get the leaves from the public. They'll donate leaves every year, and we'll fill the whole parking lot space over there, this big mound of bags of leaves that are coming in from the public, and we'll use every single bag practically.
When you actually use them then in the garden, do you take the bags and tip those leaves out?
Nope, we keep the bags intact. We don't want to spread all the leaves out because you just don't know what's in there. Bags of leaves sound like it's like light and fluffy, but a lot of times they're really heavy because in the fall we typically get a lot of fall rain, and so the leaves are heavy and wet, and so they generally don't blow away. So, you know, Mary, the Minnesota tip is quite labor intensive, and so we've started to transition towards more disease and hardy roses, and the hardy roses are actually zoned for this area, and so that they don't require that Minnesota tip, and therefore saves on time, money, and labor.
What do you do with these?
So with these hardy roses, they need very little winter protection, which is very good for beginning rosarians. And so other than the first year of a little bit of mounding of soil to protect them that first year, after that, we don't have to do anything, which is beautiful.
Do you have to worry about critters at all over the winter?
So we do have rabbits, and because we're a people's garden, there's a lot of people that are walking through, and generally we don't have too much damage.
When do you uncover in the spring of the year?
We uncover weather dependent again, but usually the second or third week of April. And we'll take all those bags of leaves off, maybe unmound some of the soil that's around some of these disease and hardy resistant roses, and go from there.
Do a lot of the same volunteers that helped in the fall come back in the spring too?
If we haven't scared them away, yes.
I love it. That is great. How do you treat the tree roses?
So the tree roses are treated slightly different in the fact that we don't bury them here at the Rose Garden. They aren't resistant like these flowers here. We actually remove them off of the Rose Garden and put them in the ground in a special location off campus here.
Okay. Wendy, do you deadhead these roses the same as the hybrid teas?
So we do deadheading, and they're very similar between the different varieties. We have Mary here from the Lake Superior Rose Society that would be very happy to show how to deadhead the roses.
Mary, I would love to show you how we deadhead here. There's a lot of different ways. I do it like this, where I'm coming down to the first set of 3. Some people will go down, some people who show roses will go down to the first set of 5 leaflets, which they believe gives a stronger bloom. But here in the garden, you can get by with cutting off a little bit less, going to the first set of 3, and they bloom well. They come back very well.
How do you know when to take off the old blooms?
Yeah, it's sometimes it's hard to tell, but okay, that one's obvious, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you have something like this, where it's bent, maybe the wind, maybe something else, you know you need to get that one off. And then sometimes if you have a lot of some insect damage or rain damage where you have a lot of spotting, this one's not too bad, but if it was a little bit more brown on it, you might want to take that too.
Well, thank you so much for showing us how to do this right.
You're welcome.
And thank you for all of the work that you do in keeping this beautiful place so pretty.
You're welcome. We love to help here.
This is so beautiful, but do you have weddings and special events here?
There's about 30 weddings that happen every year. And then, of course, there's other special events that happen. We have like band concerts, you see graduation pictures being taken. There's other celebrations of life that happen here. It is quite the treasure that Duluthians have here, and they do take advantage of that.
I read something about a Rose Fest. What is that?
Rose Fest is an annual event that happens, and it is a partnership between the Rose Society and the Duluth, City of Duluth employees. And we celebrate the rose, and we have like a little kiosk for information. We have prizes for kids that go do a scavenger hunt. We do pruning clinics. We do a garden tour, things of that nature.
Thank you so very much for showing us this beautiful spot here in Duluth.
Thank you. I appreciate that you guys came here today.